Hey folks, welcome to another edition, October's edition, the spooky one, of the Patreon Q&A here on The Golden Bolt. The name is as it says on the tin. Every month, each one of you that is a member of patreon.com/The Golden Bolt, I think there's 100 of you now, or we're really close to breaking 100, which is insane. You can ask me any sort of question you might want, and I will answer it to the best of my ability here. If it's calculus, I haven't done calculus since college, so maybe don't ask me calculus, but I'll try. But any questions that you have, I answer them here, and then even if you're not a patron, in the comments, I usually also answer them anyway, but you don't get them in fun video form. So I have a couple questions here for this month. I think I have 4 or 5 questions total, depending on how you separate multiple questions. Look, it is 6 a.m. here. It's October 30th at 6 a.m. at the time of recording. And so I'm tired, but I for some reason am up. So forgive the sleepy sleep. Okay, so I'm gonna try and do this in one take, because usually I have to cut something stupid where I burp into the mic or something. AE Double asks, sometimes in this line of work you either stick to your guns and do what you always do, or sometimes to draw in the big numbers that your usual thing barely brings, you have to pander to the common man and make the stuff that you know they want to see. What is your take on this? And what is your pandering content when we know you're really hurting? Okay, so I have been pretty good so far about not having to do too much subscriber pandering or audience pandering. I don't even know that I would call it pandering as much as algorithm tickling, I guess is the phrase I'm going to use. There are a couple, like the Wonder Book video. That wasn't pandering per se, but I was hoping to have a video that did something like the numbers that Wii video did, the Wii's least used feature. And I had been planning on doing Wonder Book for a long time, and I just was waiting to move into the new apartment because I wanted a space to film it and have space that didn't have a bed in the background. So that was one that I put out sooner than I probably would have, simply because it tickled my interest at the time. I wanted to talk about it. I had the space. I had a new second desk that I wanted to use for filming things. And I figured it would do pretty well since the Wii one did well, and it could spawn a little micro series of things that I could do in the weird hardware space, in that sort of almost the stop skeletons from fighting kind of way. So that wasn't pandering, but it was something that I was anticipating would perform pretty well, and it has so far. A little bit worse than I was hoping, mainly because I was hoping for it to do the Wii numbers, which was like 800,000 views in a month. Obviously, I knew it wasn't going to do that, but that would have been nice, because then I could have gotten lofty with my subscriber goals for the year and stuff like that. But in general, I don't see a problem with it, because everyone's got to eat, and especially when you're talking sponsors, where sponsors usually either want a certain number, or they want a certain range, or an expectation, maybe even a guarantee. And in general, when you're pitching to sponsors, or you have people pitching to sponsors on your behalf, and this is a video that I kind of want to make here on the second channel, that's talking about my sponsor process, but I have to run that by my sponsor people to see if that's something that they think is smart, because that could bite me in the ass. Anyway, with regard to all that sort of stuff, sometimes you want to make sure your numbers are doing a consistent average, just so that you can then get more money, because the higher your average view count, the more you can start demanding. And so I was very cognizant of that throughout the year, and especially throughout the last few months, when stuff like the Xbox GBA games video that I did, I was hoping to do a little bit better. Usually my stuff hits about 100,000 in a month, which is incredible considering my subscriber count that it currently is. It's very outsized. The audience is usually very engaged, and YouTube likes to push this stuff to a lot more non-subscribed viewers, because you guys tune in for as long as you do on the main stuff, which I'm very thankful for. And yeah, but in the same breath, if I'm really hurting, I throw out a Ratchet & Clank video, and it usually does well. I try to avoid doing too much Ratchet & Clank pandering. The Ratchet mods video is one that I really wanted to do. The Ratchet, rewatching my old Ratchet videos one. Can I say this? I'm going to say it. there was a sponsor issue with that one where there was a miscommunication about where the ad was going to be. And this, again, I'll talk about this in my sponsor video if I do one on here on the second channel here. And so the short of it was that I usually put all my ads, and this is not even close to your question at this point, I usually put all of my ads at the 15-minute mark or halfway into the video, whichever is sooner, because you guys are so engaged as viewers that I can get away with putting it later in the video, and the average viewer will still see the ad or skip through it, but get to the ad. And stuff like that is really, really cool, because that means I can say, hey, even though my channel is smaller than what you might think for what I'm asking for, here's the numbers that show, no, I know my worth. And this sponsor, there was a miscommunication because it got put off a month or two due to, one was my fault, one was their fault. We just kind of missed each other on budgets. And they then said, oh, you're supposed to have this in the first 3 minutes, and I hate the first 3-minute ads. Either do it as a pre-roll and pay me more, or do it as a mid-roll and pay me my rate. That's just those two things. And so they tried to cut my rate in half, so I gave them the ad early in the video and gave them a whatever video I felt deserved the way that conversation went. And so I gave them pretty phoned in video. And so that one wasn't as much of a, oh, I'm pandering to the audience sort of thing. But I've tried to avoid building the audience in such a way that I have to do, infinite Ratchet & Clank content. You've seen my pivot out of just pure Ratchet & Clank, and I had planned that from the jump, or at least from when these videos were, when the first one came out, it was 90 minutes. Where I planned the PS3 era to have other videos. It was Sonic at first, just to kind of, hey, what if I pivot from Ratchet into general platformers, see how that works, and then just slowly but surely go from Ratchet to Ratchet alternating to less and less Ratchet, so that when I was done, there would be an off-ramp so that I didn't have to go back to the prior views, because that would sting. And yeah, so like Ratchet PSP, I've been working on that for a while, and I've just been stuck in waiting for emails and other projects that I had to get out first because of sponsor timelines and stuff. And that's one that I know will do well, but I also, it's not pandery, because I intended to do it at 100,000 subscribers, and I feel really bad that I'm now at like 114 or whatever, and we're still not at that video. I genuinely, the Wii video, fucked that, to go in the short version. That video came out and I gained like 5,000 or 6,000 subscribers off that video. And so I was intending to have the Ratchet PSP work mostly done by August. And then that way, when I hit 100,000, as I said I would put out the Ratchet PSP video. And then I hit 100,000 like 8 weeks before I thought I would. So I was not even ready. So anyway, that's not really an answer to your question at all, but I don't have an issue with pandering, and I haven't pandered much yet. If you ever know that I'm really hurting, raid ad. I have gotten a lot of offers for raid ads and similar mobile games. I've generally avoided stuff in the gaming space ad-wise, because I know what they pay, and I know what they will pay. And if they pay me what I know I'm worth relative to what they usually pay, they will back up the truck. And so if I'm ever hurting, you might see one of those pop up. But it's probably not that I'm hurting. It's probably that they finally agreed to my Godfather offer for a raid or whatever. And yeah, but me hurting wouldn't really be views-wise, I don't think. Oh, actually, no, I lied. One that would be views-wise is one that I wanted to do this year that I might not do now, which was a supercut of the PS2 Ratchet videos. I wanted to put that out around December, because December is the good ad revenue month, and those videos have slowed down enough that I'm like, if I put out a mega 6-hour video, it'll do really, really well and have a really long average view duration and make a lot of extra money, so that tax season doesn't hurt as much, because the tax season's gonna hurt. And I might not do that now, because the Ratchet PSP video is gonna be close to when the Ratchet PS2 compendium video is going to come out, and I was gonna do a thing where I would save talking about Ratchet PSP's PS2 ports until the Ratchet PS2 video, so I could get some more time to get more info on those ports and talk to people that worked at Sanzaru, the port team. Stuff like that. That's probably not going to happen this year now, because I've had other projects come up before Ratchet PSP that realistically shouldn't have, but I didn't want to just rush the Ratchet PSP video out and drop it to a lower standard than the rest of the series. So anyway, if you see a compendium video, that might be when I'm like, you know what, I would like some extra safety net money. That would be nice, thank you. Especially now, because sponsors are always wavering back and forth for everybody. So if you ever get a reliable sponsor that you see me do like several months in a row, those are the good ones. And if you see sponsors in general, even if you don't like go and get the product, if you click the link, that actually does really help show that there's interest, and that gets people to come back. And yeah, so like I know I've had a lot of one-off sponsors in the last few months, simply because that's just how the current market is, because there's a lot of uncertainty in terms of what companies want to spend, stuff like that. This is not related again to your question whatsoever, so I'm gonna move on. But thank you, A, for as always having some really cool questions. I'm going to jump over the next question because that's a longer one and give a short one here from Tony Grizz, who asks a really fun one. What's my favorite genre of music and what are my top 3 artists? So I don't know that I have a favorite genre anymore. I used to be like an arena rock type fan when I was younger, so like closer to hair metal in some capacity, but like Guns N' Roses was my favorite band as a kid. I kind of just shifted over time into, I have one huge Spotify playlist that I put everything I like on, and it's very eclectic, and I just keep adding to it forever and ever. So it'll jump from Taylor Swift to some Guns N' Roses, even to Joji, former YouTuber Filthy Frank, who's now a multi-platinum recording artist. I actually just saw him last week with famous Twitch streamer JTAR9. He was at a concert local to us, and we got free tickets, so we went. It was really cool, and especially since he's kind of like not his content itself, but the fact that he was the first true, what I would consider breakthrough artist that broke out of the YouTuber stigma. And now it's not as much of a thing because you have, Logan Paul, who went from Vine to TikTok and everything else, and now is a WWE wrestler and boxer and podcaster and all that. But Joji was one of the first that really broke out of being just a YouTuber and could spin that into a wider career, outside of, like, I guess, Lindsey Sterling also. But I consider that somewhat of an inspiration, so it was really cool to see all the success that he's had and see that up close with an arena of people singing his songs with him, and that's really rad. Plus, his sense of humor, not the Filthy Frank stuff, but also it's still kind of there, is very Crub. My podcast, Crub, go to youtube.com/@CrubOfficial. All of us fuck around with soundboards and stupid shit, and he has a hype man who does a bunch of dumb soundboard shit, the exact same kind of humor quality that we do at Crub. So I appreciated that. Hey, he just like us for real. As far as my top 3 artists, I would say Joji's up there. I think his newest album didn't stick too much with me, but that's because it's almost too sad. But his prior albums really landed, or ballads rather, is the album that really landed. I will throw out All Hail Buckets, my friend and business partner and brother, essentially, Nico. He did the Golden Bolt theme. I helped to a very small degree on his most recent album, No New Thoughts, that he put out on Spotify. It's also got a full YouTube rip somewhere on YouTube, obviously. So check that stuff out. It's really good. It's a whole mix of genres. The only thing that I really did to help was I gave the suggestion and the challenge for him to do an entire almost concept album as a story, as a single thread story. So that whole album from front to back is one continuous story that I really enjoyed seeing and go through the steps of that story. And I helped a little bit with like, oh, you should add this here, like there's something missing here, add another background vocal or stuff like small things that I lent a hand on. So I'm biased, but even then, he's one of the most talented musicians out there. And so even if I didn't know him, I would feel this way. Yeah. As far as the third one goes, you know, I don't really know. I don't know that you could say, like, Taylor Swift, maybe, but I really haven't followed a lot of Taylor Swift since 1989, because she kind of went more into, like, folky music, and some of her later stuff after 1989 I didn't stick with too much. But I appreciate her journey as an artist, too, because she was able to slowly shift away from the things she started as, which was, you know, country pop, into pure pop, back into country folk-y music, and then back into pop again. And I appreciate seeing that that evolution and the hustle that she puts in, because it's similar to the Ratchet videos and similar to how my channel has evolved. That's something that I always try and do, is find a way to evolve from what I am to what I might want to become, or what I don't know that I even wanted to become that I have. So maybe those three. I'll go with those three as a simple version. That was the short answer, and it took 6 minutes. Oops. And that's where I'm going to call it for now for the video part of the Patreon Q&A, because as I recorded this, it took 32 minutes, so I wanted to split it into two, because you guys said last time when I had a really long one that you liked the weekly structure of giving one this week and one next week, so that you get more side content from me. And so I'm going to do that. So you'll get this now, and if you're a patron on the Patreon feed, you'll already have access to both parts of the video, as well as the Patreon Q&A thread for the month of November. So if you don't want to wait, or you want to put in a question for the next Patreon Q&A video that I record, go to patreon.com/thegoldenbolt and donate as little as $1 a month. You'll get access to the Discord. You'll get access to possibly Discord game nights or Discord hangout nights coming soon, maybe. I talked about that in the other part of this Patreon Q&A, as well as early or ad-free access to videos. I don't know if I just said that. And there's a bunch of other cool perks. Merch discounts for the golden tier are coming imminently. I believe we have the code generated and we just have to test it, so I have to buy my own merch. So yeah, look forward to all those things at patreon.com/thegoldenbolt. I will see you next week for the other part of this, or actually I might have another video here, like a small review of an indie game coming here to the second channel before that. So the part 2 might show up in like 2 weeks then, depending on that. Main content coming maybe at the time that you've already seen this. It might already be out. I may have pushed it back a day or two, in which case it'll be soon. And patrons, you might already have that too. I'm not sure, because whatever time you're currently watching this video is the exact time that I'm living in this moment. Wasn't that thing that happened an hour ago really weird? Yeah. See you soon. Bye.